Visit CCGCastle.com and get 5% discount on your purchase with TCG Center 5 code. Check video description or visit CCG Castle for more.
How's it going, guys? Welcome back to Pokemon TCG Center. In today's video, I will show you a Volcanion EX deck profile. So basically, I decided to make a version of Volcanion with the Flareon, and it's actually based on the speed. So the first thing, I will introduce a few cards actually in this deck. So the first one is a Volcanion. So this is our main baby attacker with power heater. So basically you really want to start with it in the active spot on turn 1, so you can actually use power heater for 20 and accelerate 2 energies from your discard pile to one of your banished Pokemons in play. So I'm running 3 copies of Volcanion baby, so really need to have as many as we can have them, but actually I didn't decide to go with the 4, I just decided to go with 3. So Flareon EX with 170 HP with the Flash Fire and the Blaze Ball. So this one is a pretty good card. That Flash Fire ability actually says that once during a turn you can move a fire energy from one of your Pokemon to the other one. From one of your other Pokemon to the Flareon, which is pretty good. Basically, if you attack with the Volcanion turn 1 for that power heater, accelerate energy to your Flareon. Turn 2 you can have Flareon EX with 3 energy, so you can go with the Blaze Ball for like a 110 or 120 with the Fighting Fury Belt. So 2 Flareons as our main attacker. So this should be our main attacker. And then I'm running 3 copies of Volcanion EX, pretty much for that Steam Up ability. The Steam Up ability actually says that when you discard energy from your hand, you can add 30 damage to your fire Pokemons for the damage in play. So this is very, very, very good in my opinion. So running 3 copies of Volcanion for that Steam Up. Then I'm moving on to Shaymin EX, so running 2 copies of Shaymin EX. Pretty much for the setup. When you play this card from your hand, you can draw cards until you have 6. So pretty good card. Also 1 copy of Hoopa EX. So with that Scundering, we can actually set up Hoopa for Surge. In addition to Surge 3 EX Pokemon, so we can put them into our hand. Scundering, pretty good. I mean, the only problem is the retreat cost. So if you're stuck with it in the active position without Flowstone or against Friday Night Yveltal, you might have very difficult time to retreat it. And that's it from the Pokemons, as you can see. Then I'm moving on to supporter cards. Of course, 4 copies of Professor Sycamore is really all you need to have. Pretty much simple. Discard your hand, draw 7 cards. What else we need? Professor Sycamore, pretty good card. And 2 copies of N. Really want to have 2 copies of N at least, so we can actually N our opponent to the number of the prize cards he actually have left. The same thing will apply to us. 1 copy of Lysander, so you can Lysander something from your opponent bench. It's a pretty good card, and it's a card you need to have in pretty much every deck. I decided to go with 1 Center Lady, just because with Fighting Fury Belt I can have like 210 HP with my Flareon, so healing 60 damage per turn is not bad. Especially if I know that I will play against Friday Night Yveltal, I will definitely take Center Lady, so I can at least heal 60 damage from one of my 2 damaged EX Pokemons in play. So it's very important. Then I have 1 Delinquent, so I can discard Stadium card from play and force my opponent to discard 3 cards from his hand. Of course, 1 copy of Hex Maniac, it's always good, especially against those Friday Night Yveltals. They're pretty much very good meta at this moment, so being able to shut out their ability so you can actually retreat with the Flowstone is definitely good, but the same thing is for the Greninja. I mean, this card will also be good against Greninja Break. 4 copies of V-Seeker, pretty much the staple. You need to have 4 copies of V-Seeker in each deck if you want to be competitive. 4 copies of Trainer's Mail. So with the Trainer's Mail, you can look at the top 4 cards of your deck and pretty much reveal any trainer card, expect for the Trainer's Mail, and put it into your hand. This is very important because we want to have ability to take at the top 4 cards. We really want to have as many consistency as we can get, and also as much max elixirs turn 1, turn 2, so we can actually hit turn 2 pretty strong with our Flareon EX, maybe even to one-hit knockout our opponent EX or Mega EX from play. Then of course 4 copies of max elixir, you really need to have them. So with the max elixir, pretty much you can look at the top 6 cards of your deck, and if you reveal basic energy there, you can attach it to one of your benched Pokemons in play, which is pretty good and pretty damn good. I mean, if you can accelerate so fast energies with those max elixirs plus Power Heater Volcanion, you can have turn 2 like 6-7 energies in play without any problem. Imagine if Blacksmith actually stayed in format, that would be pretty sick. 4 copies of Ultra Ball. So with the Ultra Ball, you can discard 2 cards from your hand and search your deck for any Pokemon you like and put it into your hand, which is pretty good. We can grab, for example, Hoopa, so we can set up with it. Pretty damn good. 2 copies of Energy Retrieval. Pretty much put 2 energy cards, basic energy from a discard pile into your hand. This is very important. I'm not running Fisherman, I just decide to go with 2 energy retrievals because I can easily grab 2 energies from a discard pile, use 2 steam ups, add 60 damage to my Pokemon, and basically hit for 60 more damage, which is pretty good. That's the reason why actually having 2 energy retrievals have a lot of sense in this deck. Even 1 Fisherman maybe for late game wouldn't be that bad, but I just decided to go with 2 energy retrievals. 1 Escape Rope, it's pretty good. Just because I'm not running Ranger, so Escape Rope can give me opportunity to Escape Rope my opponent Jolteon, for example, then I can Lysander it, which is important. But also Escape Rope can help pretty much against those Finite Evital's, just in case I stuck with something without Flowstone in the active spot. But even if I have Flowstone, I cannot retreat without shutting down ability. That's the reason why Escape Rope can actually help a lot. Then moving on to Flowstones, 2 copies of Flowstone for that free retreat. As I mentioned it earlier, it's pretty needed to have. You really need to have a free retreat. Pretty much your Volcanion have like 3 retreat costs, so that's very much. 3 copies of Fighting Fury Belt. Right now, when I speak about Fighting Fury Belt, you can actually cut 1 Fighting Fury Belt in addition to maybe 1 additional Escape Rope if you want, depend on your current meta. On my local tournaments, nobody played Jolteon, so that's the reason why I actually build deck like this. But pretty much cutting 1 Fighting Fury Belt for additional Escape Rope, or maybe even for that Ranger, wouldn't be that bad in my opinion. Depends where you play and how many Jolteons are actually at your local tournaments. Then from the Stadium card, I decided to go with 1 Pearl City. Pearl City is actually a pretty good card. It can help me, or it can help my opponent, depend. But actually, it can be advantage or it can be disadvantage. Against Mega Rayquaza, you can easily cut his bench down to 3. But against any other deck, you can pretty much cut yourself down to 3 and basically discard some damaged EXs like Volcanions or Shamans, or maybe even Hoopa, or whatever you don't need. So imagine turn 1 you start with Hoopa for, let's say, 2 Volcanions and Shaman. You have a Flareon on your bench, so you can easily remove Volcanion and Shaman with the Pearl City, which is pretty good because you will discard unnecessary Pokemon from play. So in my opinion, it's very, very good. Then I also have 2 copies of a Skyfield. So with the Skyfield, you can have maximum 8 Pokemons in play, both you and your opponent. So if you can actually turn 1 open with a Skyfield, then you can, for example, Ultra Ball for Hoopa. You can do the same thing as with the Pearl City, but you will have 8 Pokemons in play. So later with the Pearl City, you can, for example, clean something from your bench that you really don't need, and maybe even force your opponent to discard Pokemons until he have 3. Which is pretty good. So imagine turn 1 you go, let's say second, and you open with Volcanion in the active spot. You can set up 3 Volcanion EX on your bench. You can use 3 steam ups, so you can even hit with the Fighting Fury Belt with Volcanion baby for like 120, which is very, very, very huge amount of the damage. If you imagine that you can even attach 2 more energies from your discard pile to one of your Pokemon, to 2 of your Pokemons in play, that's pretty good. I mean, Volcanion is actually pretty good, but the current meta is a little bit different, a little bit tricky. There's Greninja Break, there are those Finite Evil Tiles, so basically they can easily counter you, but if you can actually make a decent turn one, and if you can get that Hex Maniac early in play, I think you can pretty much easily win against both decks, especially against Greninja. If your opponent starts with a Turn Flame and he's not able to set up 2 Froakies, and if you can get that Lysander for Froakie, you can actually control his setup from turn to turn. And the last 12 cards that I have in this deck are 12 basic energy cards. So pretty much I'm running 12 basic energy cards, 12 fire. That's just because I really want to have as many energies as I can have for those steam ups, but also to be able to hit max elixir. So with 12 energies in your deck, there is pretty high chance that you can actually get energy with the max elixir in a top 6 cards. So pretty much that's my Volcanion, Volcanion EX, Flareon EX, Speed deck version. I hope you guys enjoy watching this video. If you have any questions, don't forget to leave comments below. Let me know what you think about this build. And that's pretty much it. If you didn't subscribe already, please consider doing that. Till the next time, have a nice day and goodbye.